Hi, this is Adolf here, and I'm a senior colorist, and I'm going to share with you the workflow, the pipeline that I follow while grading a feature film. Now, this is my approach. It is very personal. I being an offline editor while starting my career. So, what really matters to me is the story structure. The story structure is of prime importance to me. Why? Because when I get a director's cut, when I get a cut which is rough, right? Even before the grading, I will go through the cut many times. I'll go through the cut three, four times. What I'm trying to find out in a cut, I'm trying to find out the story structure in the cut. Some people, some director might follow story structure, some might not follow story structure. It is not mandatory, but I will be looking out for milestones based loosely on the story structure, right? Now, I'm going to give you a shortcut how to identify those milestones in a story. So there are seven type of story structures, and the first and the most famous story structure is called a three-act structure. The three-act structure starts with the hook. Hook tells you why should you keep watching? What is going to come next that you're going to keep watching? The second point is the inciting incident. Inciting incident is a very important point in the story. It lies at the 12 percentage of the story, and there are two things that an inciting incident covers. Inciting incident is a point where the protagonist first brushes against the conflict. It is also a point where the protagonist, or you can call it refusal to the call to adventure, or protagonist refuses the call to adventure. The hook, the inciting incident, is followed by the first plot point. What is the first plot point? The first plot point is like a door, like an entry to the new world in which there is no return. The protagonist must open this door if he has to go for what he wants. It is a completely new world. It is a door to a new world. It is also a point where the obstacles start, and it's the point where the protagonist has a clear idea of the conflict. It is the first plot point. The first plot point is followed by the first pinch point. What does the pinch point do? Pinch point like a pressure point, there is pressure on the protagonist. It is at this pinch point where the obstacles start. It is where you emphasize the antagonistic force. The pinch point is followed by a midpoint. You can also call the midpoint as a second plot point. Some people call the midpoint as a moment of truth. It is where the perspective of the protagonist changes completely. It is where he knows clearly where he is standing in the conflict and what is at stake ahead. Second plot point or the midpoint is followed by the second pinch point. Now, in pinch point, the obstacles have already started, but here the protagonist understands the stakes that are lying ahead, and a mini antagonist or antagonist is also introduced here. Now, second pinch point is followed by the third plot point. The third plot point happens at 75th percentage. That is the false victory for the protagonist and his team. And when he realizes this is a false victory, he faces his darkest night or darkest hour. You famously also call it the dark night of the soul. The protagonist regroups, he gets new knowledge and uses something that he has learned, some information, something against the antagonist in a final act called the climax. The climax is one-on-one mono conflict of the protagonist and the antagonist. In the climax, many character arcs are going to be completed, right? It is a completion of many character arcs. And after the final climax, there is resolution, or you call return to elixir. Now the protagonist goes to his fully realized world. So this was briefly the three act structure. I'm going to talk about the other remaining six structure, which help me identify the milestones and which in turn gives me color arc. So let me quickly sum up at what point of time you are going to find what. So here is a three act structure quickly summed up. The hook you will find at the beginning of the film. The inciting incident you will find at 12%. The first plot point you will find at a 25th percent. The first pinch point you will find at 37%. The midpoint you will find at the 50th percent. The midpoint is also called the second plot point. The second pinch point is found at 62%. The third plot point is found at 75%. And the climax is found at a 90%, which is followed by the resolution. Thank you.